All right, hi everybody. My name is Angela Daniel, and welcome. I'm glad you guys are here. All right, I have taught fourth grade now for the past since 2016. I began teaching in 2015, and I started with third grade. I have loved fourth grade ever since, and I plan in the future to become an EIP teacher within our district. And EIP is Early Intervention Program, where I will teach math and or reading to students. Um, all right. Today's agenda, basically, I'm going to talk about differentiation and engagement and ways that you can incorporate both in your classroom and basically in an online environment because that is what I am teaching in currently. Everything in every school in our district is virtual. Differentiation is basically a way of thinking. It's not a set of strategies that or teaching a certain way. Is basically making sure that you guys are meeting or we are meeting the needs of all of our students in the classroom. And sometimes it can be as simple as making decisions at that particular moment for a student. Maybe you give little Johnny a graphic organizer that's different from the other children, but that's okay because it's helping little Johnny. All right. And differentiation, it is understanding that as in the classroom, fair doesn't always mean that it looks the same for everybody. We know that everybody is different because everybody is different. And so we all learn different. And we as teachers have to be flexible in how and what we teach our students. And according to Carol Tomlinson, there are different areas in which we can differentiate. We can differentiate through content, process, and product. And in the classroom, basically, when we're teaching, content refers to what we're teaching. And there are ways that we can um, differentiate our content. We can perhaps show videos. I know my students love YouTube videos, but I also counteract that with videos that I use or that I show of me teaching. Right? Where you can provide different types of text. Again, personalized instructional videos. Some videos I send to certain students. All right, and guided notes to supplement what you're teaching. I teach students in ESP and students with 504 plans and in EIP. So I must give my students notes to supplement what I'm teaching. And then I also in the future will be doing breakout sessions to reteach skills to students and just providing different ways to connect. And we personally use Google Classroom or Google Meet rather. All right. Teachers can also differentiate through process. Perhaps you might give students a different amount of time and provide tiered activities. Or at our school, we are big on the gradual release of responsibility, where we do, to do, which students do things in pairs, and then um, um, you do alone. And we are trying to figure out how that works in an online setting. And then again, I have think, pair, share, but we're trying to figure out how that works too. And we were talking about breakout sessions. All right, and journaling and interactive resources. I am big on interactive resources, and because they do, you obviously you can differentiate through interactive resources, but they can also provide engagement to your students. All right, and in my case, I will pair up English proficient students with non-English speaking students. And I'm also a big advocate for manipulatives. And I've found websites that I push out to my students that have manipulatives. All right, teachers can also differentiate through the product, how the kids show what they've learned. And for most, this is the most widely used because it's the easiest. And basically, kids are showing or demonstrating their learning. There are multiple ways to do this. Perhaps, and at our school, we are big on inquiry-based learning, and where we let kids basically show us any way they want how they learned. All right, and in Google Classroom, I've learned to allow students to have multiple resubmissions with things. That is, yeah. All right, engagement. All right, basically engagement refers to basically whether or not you're keeping your students' attention. In my classroom, I've learned to use the random name generator that is found at class tools, and that has been a game changer. In our class, we also use Kahoots and quizzes and Quizlets. And another thing that I encourage you guys to use are scavenger hunts. Kids are going crazy for scavenger hunts. We're doing them throughout our school, and I must say that kids are loving them. And I do only 2 to 3 um, in between activities, so I don't, I'm not overdoing it. And my students are also loving Go Noodle. That's a big one. And if they don't want to participate in a Go Noodle, I tell them to just get up and just go walk around for a little bit and then come back. And I also use and encourage teachers to use Flipgrid and Padlet, or either or. And I know that Padlet is, you can only do a certain amount, and some schools have purchased Flipgrid, and some schools haven't. All right. And one of my main things that I encourage teachers to do is give timely feedback that require your students to respond back to you. For example, in Google Classroom, if students are working on an assignment, I can go in and I can create a text box, and I'll change it and put it in red, and they'll see me typing into them, and I'll ask them a question about what they're doing. Perhaps they're doing something incorrectly, and I'll tell them to go back and look at such and such, and I'll just ask a question. Maybe I'll ask, "How are you doing today?" and they'll respond in that box, and just basically getting them to respond to you. All right, and that is the end of our presentation, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and I pray that you guys have a great and awesome school year. All right. Okay.